Okay, everybody's recording and we're up and running. It's another edition of our podcast, The Way It Is. Got Mr. Frank Carter from B-TEK on. We got to talk about our sponsor. Our sponsor is Mo's Car Rentals, Dave Morris's Car Rentals. If you need a nice car to go somewhere for a company business, you see Mo, he'll fix you up with a dandy. Get you going. You ever met Mo?
Yeah, is it Mo?
Yeah, Dave Morris.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We call it Mo's Car Rentals, but he handles all the loaner cars. If you're on a company trip or something, you know.
I haven't seen him in a while, but yeah.
Well, now he'll know who you are, so he can come over and say howdy to you. At any rate, we got Mr. Frank Carter from B-TEK over here. Frank, probably first time ever sitting in front of a microphone. It takes a bit to get used to it, right, as how close it is. We're going to get into what you do over at B-TEK, but how many years you worked?
I'm coming up on 30 years next month, May.
30 years in May.
Yeah.
You been welding your whole life?
Yes. High school, went into the service.
What branch?
Navy, U.S. Navy Seabees.
For our audience, the Seabees.
Construction Battalion,
right?
Yeah.
Where were you stationed at?
San Diego.
And did you deploy out?
Oh, no, I did my boot camp in San Diego. I was stationed in Port Hueneme, California.
And then deployed out of there?
Yeah, went to Guam, helped build a fleet hospital.
No kidding.
I kid you not. I was there during typhoon season.
Oh.
Yeah, that was pretty scary.
What was your particular job at the Seabee as a welder?
My rank was SW, steel worker, and I was a welder, stick welder.
You used to hear some of the folks on the scale side.
Yeah.
And they would say, well, stick welding is much stronger than MIG welding. What's your opinion?
MIG welding is a lot easier to do. Stick welding out of position, you can't beat it. And I think that's the beauty of stick welding. You can do overhead, verticals. With MIG, it's troublesome.
So for our listeners who don't know about welding, MIG, take it from me here. We got a MIG gun or MIG torch, whatever you want to call it, gun. Mm-hmm. And when you pull the trigger on the MIG gun, thin wire is being fed out the end of that gun that is energized.
Right. It feeds a wire through the gun.
Continuously feeding that. And then is it not also true that you have gas, shielding gas, and inert gas, carbon dioxide?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That is shielding that weld.
Yes.
So that there's no
porosity,
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Your opinion, doing this for more than 30 years, you're still getting a good, strong weld, but stick welding is better, especially for out of position.
Especially for, in the field, like with stick, you can weld dirty steel. The cleaner, the better with the MIG. It's more of you got to pamper it, I'm going to say.
Gotcha. Everything's got to be cleaner.
Yeah.
You got some more questions on that. 4 years in the Seabees?
4, yes. And
then got out.
Yeah.
And then came to B-TEK. Did you make a
not exactly. I was actually across the street. at the time, it was called MRF, okay. Maintenance, Repair, and Fabrication. Okay. And we would just get sent, anywhere and everywhere, do shutdowns. We did a lot of work for Luntz, scrapyard over there. Yeah. We did all the handrail for the recycling plant over here. Kimball's? Yeah, if you go in there and look at all that yellow.
That's all
us, yeah. At the time when they were building B-TEK, like I said, I was working across the street. I think B-TEK opened in 94. They used to get their gas from AGF, a company in front of MRF. One of the salesmen, told me about the place, told Junior about me. I came over, interviewed, did a little weld test, this and that. And I got the job.
And for the folks that in the audience don't know, Junior Patterson, who retired out, he was the plant or the shop foreman.
Yeah, right. Awesome guy.
94, all the way up till he retired in what, 20?
Couple years ago there.
22-ish time frame guy.
Yeah.
So how many folks was working at B-TEK when you hired them?
Yeah, they were running for like a year.
And how many people was,
Oh, at the time, I think there a good 10, 15 guys.
but you hired in on the night crew,
No, I
or you started in days?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
And so you would have had Ray Simon, who he just retired out, right?
Right.
And then Tim Stutz.
Well, he came a little later, but yeah, Ray Simon, Art Shuri was there.
Art, who's still there.
He's still there.
All night,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Ryan
Oakleaf.
yeah. Jimmy Wasnett,
Yeah.
and he's still
Who still builds the carts, and Kyle's still there.
Kyle
too.
Gotchick, yes, sir.
Jay Stevens.
Yeah, Jay Stevens.
I remember him. He would build
Stands and such.
stands. Yeah.
He was stick welding.
Yeah. I think he was using 70-24 jet rod because if I remember correctly, it could be the real thick rod, and he never wore a helmet. He just used a piece of cardboard when cleansed, and he'd sit, he'd weld those up. Did a nice job.
Yeah.
So about your family, Frank.
I have 3 daughters. They're all grown. My youngest is 23. Been married for 36 years. And all my girls are out of the house now. My oldest, we just had a grandchild last year. He's 1.
What's his name?
We call him Trip, but his name's Jonathan. Yeah.
You said 1 year old now?
Yeah, he's 1 year old.
Grandkids, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That's
So I'm a grandpa now.
Grandpa Frank.
Right.
That's cool, man. Going back, you learned in high school, it sounds like.
Yeah, vocational welder.
The trade of welding and fitting. And question for you, is there a difference between a straight up welder and a welder fitter? Like a person who's fitting or fabricating or putting everything together, and then somebody who's then coming in behind them and actually burning.
Yeah, I mean, just the fit up end of it,
So when you start in the trade, you start as just a straight up welder, or you're just simply welding. It's already fit up.
Well, when I came in, it was, the position was welder fitter.
Gotcha. So over at B-TEK now, do you have somebody who tacks up the scale, fits it together, and then somebody else burns it?
No, it's pretty much that guy, all the skills. Yeah.
Gotcha. If you had to take a wild guess, I mean, just shooting from the hip, how many truck scales, do you think you built?
At least 10,000.
No kid. What was your favorite? Out of all of them, what would be your
I don't really have a favorite, Mike, but the one that sticks with me would be that original Super Low. When I come aboard, that was the scale.
And you enjoyed?
Yeah, that's the one that we put all our time into.
You really enjoyed welding that?
Yeah, that was the one.
What about the big iron in there? So you get like the big pit rail scales, combo rail scales.
Big beams.
Do you like?
Oh yeah. I mean, the bigger the better.
What you got to do with the MIG welder to weld that heavy beam?
You got to turn your heat up. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, some of them beams is darn near 200 pounds a foot.
Per foot.
36 inches tall.
So those, when you go in there and you see a pit rail scale being built, you see those massive main beams. That's a 36-inch main beam.
Yeah.
And you got to run that.
Yeah.
That wire's got to be running hot, right?
Yeah.
What size wire they run over there? 35 thousandths or?
045.
45.
Yeah.
You guys just kind of upgraded some of the welders recently, didn't you?
Yes, we did. But we stuck with that 045. That's around the board now. We was running the 052.
Really?
Yeah, and I liked it for the penetration. We were having problems with a new guy would come in and they know how to weld, but sometimes you got to slow down and let that penetration count. They were running thin beads and we were having problems with decks popping, welds popping. So when JR was management, we decided to up the ante with the wire and go with the 052.
Okay.
Just to take up some of them problems. And it seemed to be working. And then recently with the change of hands and things going on, we went back down to the 045. So, I'm hoping that, with the QCs we have now and the upgrade there, that we'll be fine with that.
I'll be honest with you. I've seen B-TEK truck scales. I've seen the steel ripped because of abuse.
Yeah.
Just normal wear and tear because of abuse, but the welds won't be broke.
Right? Like bend points and such.
Yeah, the truck will get on there, will do something to it in just the right manner to rip the steel. So the piece of steel be physically ripped, but the welds will not be broken.
Right.
In my opinion, or in my mind, that there's some good welding going on.
Yes, sir.
It's big American iron that's being built correctly. Question, I always wondered this, probably should have asked somebody at some point, when you are MIG welding, your opinion as a welder, better to drag the puddle or push the puddle?
By push.
Is that the way to do it to keep the heat out?
Yeah, you got more control, better penetration, less buildup.
So that keeps the heat out in front of the...
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
What'd you think when they started using positioners, which, correct me if I'm wrong, 2003, we got the rotators or the positioners for... Does that...
I mean, we come a long way, Mike, from how we used to build them. There's a lot of physicality into it. And I'm just glad that, people are smart like that, they took out some of these issues we were having and brought in these positioners. And of course, everybody was skeptical at first because the way we do them is the way, but yeah, they're working out. We can get 2.5 scales a day.
Really?
Out of them jigs.
And so for the folks who are listening that maybe don't know what we're talking about on a positioner, essentially it's a rotator, just, that the scale module is put into.
Yeah.
And it allows that scale module to be rotated.
Right, 180 degrees.
So that the welder is always welding a flat weld.
Yeah.
Welding out of position, correct?
Yep, and we're not tying up the cranes,
Yeah, because the old days.
Yeah, we're waiting on one another.
To flip.
Climbing up on,
Yeah, and welding off of step ladders.
Yeah. So, I mean, safety, time, everything played a part in that.
Flux core wire versus solid wire. Does that make a hell of beans difference or?
Oh, sure. With the hard wire, you want clean steel. And lucky for us, we got that big Pangborn shot blast that'll clean that steel up for us. A flux core, I mean, you could grind sand and get away with that. Less mess with the hard wire. You don't have all that flux.
And not as much smoke going into the air itself. So if the steel's clean, you can run
really
wire that does a nice job. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's been, like you talked, there's probably been some issues from time to time, growing pains with some of the welds, maybe on the deck plates, which deck plates take a lot of wear and tear out of the field of welds not holding. But again, for the main iron, the main structure, I can't ever say, and I did 20 years in the field before I started knowing the training, and I can't ever say I've seen a broken weld on a B-TEK scale. If something was ripped, it was because of...
That's pretty impressive.
I tell you, my favorite scale, B-TEK scale, has always been the heavy-duty side rail.
Really?
Okay? And the reason for that is that in 2003, you might have welded them up. We sold 2 side rails to a power plant south of Canton for the inbound coal trucks. Okay. So the coal for this plant would come from a mine in southern Ohio. They railroaded up to near this power plant and then transloaded into trucks and bring it into the power plant.
I see.
And those trucks would come across generally at 160 to 180,000 pounds. The biggest one I ever seen come across was 186. That's all day long. This is truck after truck after truck after truck after truck. And we put those scales in 03, heavy duty side rails. Now, they weren't coped. They coped the main beams on it. They weren't coped. They had 100K double end shear beam cell. So it was still the old school pin and loop style. And they shut that power plant down a couple years ago. So for 20 years, those 2 scales took day after day. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of
Wow.
160,000 to 186,000. We replace cells sometimes. We replace some suspension parts, pins and loops. Never had to do anything with the weigh bridge or the stands.
Wow.
So Jay Stevens would have welded the stands up.
Yeah.
And then it may have been you or Ray or Art or whoever,
Yeah.
Ray Simon or whoever welded up the weigh bridge. But that always impressed me because it's like, so let's think about this, Frank. The guy who is sitting over there at B-TEK pulling the trigger on a MIG gun is responsible for a truck that, 80,000, maybe more, being able to safely pass across that scale.
Yeah.
So nobody thinks about that.
No.
They now see the big scale sitting there and, but nobody thinks about, well, there's somebody that is responsible for making sure that those welds are correct. So, let me ask you this, a fella hiring in over there as a welder, you've probably been responsible for a lot of the training and stuff. Correct?
Yeah. And you literally are on their back shoulder, I mean, you have to be
Until
comfortable enough to turn them loose.
And then QC, which Art's still doing a lot of that, correct?
Well, now it's Joe and Jesse. But
And they're double checking
yeah.
and making sure.
I mean, they matter, that's small ones, big ones, they matter.
Yeah.
It's like you say,
You're responsible for the safety or the, the correct movement of that truck across that.
Right.
Across that scale. Nobody thinks about it.
No, and like time after time after time.
Right.
Time.
Correct. So we started talking about this before we went on the podcast, and I asked you about this before. I asked you this question a few weeks ago when I talked to you over at B-TEK. So spray transfer welding.
Yes.
And, for our listeners who don't know, what are we talking about when we're talking about that?
You're talking a lot of volts, high volts.
On your machine.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna say a lot of wire, but just enough wire to where it's not a bunch of spatter. It just you get that deep penetration.
A very hot weld.
Yeah, your gas is kind of high. It's on the high side, so
a lot of gas flow out of the end of the gun, high voltage.
Yeah,
and you're moving the wire through pretty daggone quick too.
Yeah.
So you're literally blasting, is it microscopic hot?
Yeah, you're ending up with a 3/8 half-inch weld. It's pretty intense.
You guys said you tried it. At one point you tried it over there, but it wasn't working so hot, so you don't do it no more.
The spray transfer? No, that's where we're at now.
You're spraying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's an extremely hot,
Yes.
very deep penetrating weld.
Yes.
The steel's stuck together.
Yeah. Right.
I gotcha.
Right.
So somebody buys a scale from over there, they're getting something, American steel, American welders that know what they're doing, and you're
Quality conscious.
making sure that we're not just burning wire, we're
Making it count. Yeah.
truly welding.
Yes.
I gotcha.
Yes.
All right. I've seen you over there using a torch to methodically bend a large piece of steel that may come off the truck already kind of warped.
Right. Right.
And in particular, what I've seen you bend is it would be the end plates for like a
After weld.
Okay, so that's why you're doing it, because you've welded this, welded all the shark fins on and everything.
And bend it.
And when you weld something,
Yeah.
it's going to bend, it's going to warp. And now you got to take that warp out of it.
Yeah.
So kind of give me, and I know this is going to be difficult to describe, but how do you use a torch and how do you figure out where you need to heat a long piece of steel is 10, 11 foot long,
Right. Right.
half-inch thick, 12 inches wide.
Right.
How do you figure out where in the heck do I need to heat this thing to get, if it's warped like this, how do I get that warp out of it?
So I've always been taught, when you look down a piece of
Okay, so you sight it.
Yeah, you sight it. You heat on the bend side,
on the side that you want it to bend back towards?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
So if it's kicked like this and I want to bring it this way, I got to heat on that side.
On the back side, yeah.
Okay, got that.
And then the rest, man, is just experience. I don't. It's you play with it. You know, you run lines down it top to bottom.
Okay.
You can't be slow. You can't be too fast. You got to make the heat count. I look for what they call a bluing in the steel.
Really?
Yeah, when you heat it, it'll start to
change color. Right?
Yeah. I look for that bluing, and that kind of tells me my travel speed.
So as you're running that torch down that piece of steel, you're watching the color of it.
Yeah.
And as you're trying to keep that blue color, so
Yeah.
you got the temperature that you want.
Yeah, if you go all the way through it, it won't bend. You done heated it too much.
If I got a piece of steel that's bent like this and I want to straighten it out like this,
Yeah.
is the concept that I'm heating, and when I heat something and it cools down, it's going to contract.
Right.
Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to get that to contract.
Yeah.
Get everything to contract until that steel.
Yeah. When it contracts, it's going to contract over, and then it'll come back. It'll relax.
So it'll over contract
And then it'll relax.
or relax a little.
Yeah. So I'm looking for that relax.
One of these days, and I know I'm getting old, man, so I forget stuff. I need to just catch you at the right time and get a cell phone and shoot. I'm telling you, I know our listeners can't. It's hard to envision what we're talking about, but if you can see it, it's really cool. It's an art.
Yeah.
Because I've seen, I'll look down along that piece of steel. And again, it's the end plate for a Centurion or for one of the hybrid scales.
Yeah.
It's 1/2 inch thick, 10 inches wide
3/4 thick.
or 3/4 thick.
Yeah. 12 inches wide, 14 foot long.
And I've watched you, and I'll see your soapstone marks down the length of it.
Yeah.
So you taking that torch down through there.
Yeah.
And then, I'll take, it's what usually when I'm taking folk on a tour, and then, we'll sit there and watch it for a bit. And then, once you come back, you can see the bend's been
Straightened down.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this, is the younger welders coming in over there at B-TEK, are they learning, are there some of them that are interested in learning?
There they are. They are. A majority of them are sponges. They want it all,
I'm going to make a statement, and I'm not flattering you with this statement. I'm making a true statement. So I think one of the things for a tradesman such as yourself, and when I mean a tradesman, I mean a true tradesman who is skilled in a trade. Because there's a lot of people who look down upon welders,
Really?
because they don't understand the trade. Okay, so, they're maybe kind of snooty and look at it's just a welder.
Okay.
It's a true trade. And, so I think a person such as yourself that's been doing it 30, maybe close to 40 years, the next evolution in this for you is to pass that trade down to the next. I bet you what it sounds like you're doing.
That's it.
And that way, when you retire out, you can look back on a career and say, wasn't always perfect. There's times where, went through tough times I didn't agree with this, times.
Yeah.
But it was a good trade, a skilled trade. And I took that trade. I not only mastered it, but I passed it down to other folks.
And that's the joy of working with others is being able to pass that on.
Yeah.
Turn them loose, and they perform as you do.
And you've duplicated yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I get my joy.
There's a lot of struggle right now in the workplace trying to find tradespeople. The trades, it's difficult right now because a lot of folks, again, there's people that look down on trades folks, and there's a skill to it.
Yeah. And I see guys over there that won't. They'll take what they know, put it in their pocket, and
Won't pass it
on.
Yeah, so kudos to you for not only mastering the trade, but also passing it, being willing to pass it down to
whoever wants to learn.
whoever wants to learn it. And it's a trade that you can have for life. You're always going to need welders. Something always needs weld together. And we can maybe get down the road of robotic welders, and there's just shooting from the hip here. There's a place for those, but the bottom line is when it comes to the big iron being welded over there, there's an art to it, and you need somebody who's skilled to actually measure it.
It's a love, man. It's a love of the.
Quite the last thing you were talking about, welded steel, it's got a pole. How do you guys keep, when you're welding the big weigh bridges up, we'll say the custom weigh bridges, how do you guys keep that from pole? You gotta, I know each module's, 20, 25 feet long or whatever. How do you keep that from pulling out a square when you guys are welding that?
Well,
do you move your heat as
Well, usually on the fit up, that when we're doing fit up, that's where the pushing and pulling
is going to
hits the most. That's when you tack on one side, and let things draw. Have it work for you, I should say.
So make sure I heard you correctly. And, maybe if it needs up a little here.
Yeah, if it needs a move to the right, tack it on the right. Have that work for you.
Oh, kid. So you're using the tacking to kind of steer.
There you go.
Which
direction?
Foot long module to go to keep it in square.
Yeah. So you try to make this material work for you, not against you.
Oh, kidding.
Take the fight out of it.
Yeah, a lot to it, man.
Yeah.
That's it. I didn't realize all that. Wow.
Yeah.
Kind of walk us through the process of building a truck scale at B-TEK, kind of starting with, we'll say we got the steel in the door. Mm-hmm. So it's back in the receiving department. And from there, what happens? So it's time for Frank to build a truck scale.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume it gets put on the schedule and you need a print.
You're right. Right.
Okay.
Prints come down in a packet. I usually start with the smaller little sub-assemblies.
Okay.
If there's things that need to be built like that, we call what we say prepping the beams, sight rail stiffeners and,
okay,
flat bars. We work small and then we work up to the big,
Okay. So let's say you were doing like a rail scale or something, you would weld the outriggers on beams.
Lifting lugs, all outrigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep. Once we've got everything prepped, ready to go, a lot of it's crane work. You're setting beams up, bringing in cross members. We use come-alongs a lot to draw things tight. And then square is so important, Now,
have you ever had to build one out of square purposely?
Not purposely, but yeah, they've come out of square.
But I mean, have you ever had to build one out of square to fit an out of square pit?
No.
You always do it, no matter what, they're going to get built square.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't be a fitter if I did that. Trick question.
Well, no, I just wondered because we would run into situations where we would have an existing pit and that had been there forever and it was out square.
I've heard stories.
And so you're going to put a new scale in it. So, we would measure it up and tell B-TEK, hey, this pit's out of square. And I just wondered if,
No,
we're all built square.
Yeah, what I've always heard is you guys split the differences, this and that.
Yeah, you jimmy it in there.
Work your magic.
But at any rate, so you sometimes have to use come-alongs to pull this thing into square.
Yeah.
And now we got it tacked up.
So, we do with the flat welds, whatever we can catch in that position, flat. And then from there, we choke it with chains and up it goes.
Rotate it.
Yeah.
Do all the flat welds in that position. Yeah. Rotate again.
Yeah.
But a lot of this stuff now goes in the power, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're in the positioner. Yeah. So.
Okay, so you need all this steel to weld up. It's coming in the receiving department.
Yes.
And then the plate, all the tread diamond plate, that needs to stop at the burn table first, right?
Right. Burnt to size, what have you.
Burnt size, burn all the holes, so forth, correct?
Yep.
And then the plate and the beams.
Go through the Pangborn blaster.
And that blast all the mill slag off and that steel.
That's right.
And then everything kind of gets, you correct me where I'm wrong here, but everything's going to get kind of piled up or staged.
Yep.
Near, and over at B-TEK, there's kind of two sides. You got the Centurion side.
Yeah.
And then the everything else side.
Yeah. Empty outside. Yeah.
So the steel gets staged up, then you come in with the print.
Throw a couple of the main beams on bucks and get...
Put outriggers on, lifting lugs, whatever, all the small...
Little sub-assemblies out of the way. And then from there, it would go into the positioners.
And then turn it over to Steve for a coat of paint.
Right.
Old Steve, let's get him here while he's dating.
He's a good old boy.
He'd been painting a while over there. So, what is the heaviest capacity scale? Like, what stands out? Like, when you look back over your almost 30 years now, what's the monster?
So it'd be the rail scales for sure. I remember looking at a pack at one time, and I think it was 400,000 pound capacity, 150,000 pound CLC.
For a rail?
Yeah.
And that was like the biggest one
That was the biggest I've.
that you guys ever
Yes, sir.
welded up over there. It's like 10 years, maybe probably 15 years ago, they did an all stainless steel truck.
Yeah.
Welding that.
No, I wasn't.
I remember them doing it.
Yeah.
What the reasoning was, there was a customer requested that. I can't imagine how much that would have cost. How much stainless you deal with over there? I mean, you're mostly doing the carbon side.
Yeah, I don't do much stainless unless we do a stainless cover or something.
Still using a MIG to weld in. Is different gas for stainless?
Yes. They use the, what is it, the argon mix?
So we got you. Whereas with the carbon steel, it's what, CO2?
Yeah.
Helium? Or
No, argon. Argon.
Gotcha. If you had a young fella or lady, maybe he's in high school or whatever, and was to question you and say, what, I kind of heard about the welding trade, the welding fitting trade. Is there anything in particular that you would tell them about it?
It's a skill that'll challenge you. The bigger the metal, the more challenging it is. Steel is going to do what it wants. When it's all said and done, you're making something that people are going to use. It's going out into the field and they're putting it to use. This thing's going to hold up and last. Time's money, you don't want to waste too much time.
But yet you want it done right.
Yeah, but yeah, you want to be quality conscious at what you do. Have some pride in your work.
Now, is it true that welders judge each other and how pretty they're?
Oh yeah, every day. Mine's is better than yours.
Well, that's a good thing. Yeah. That's somebody.
It's a standard,
right? They're taking pride in what they do. So
yes.
You ever, and maybe you haven't, this might be kind of goofy, but you ever been out driving around going somewhere and seeing a B-TEK truck scale in the field and watching the trucks go across and maybe a little sense of pride?
Right. Yeah, my name's on that.
Yeah, my name. I welded that up and it's actually being used, and I like that.
That's a cool feeling.
Say what you said about that. If you had a young person that was wanting to go into trade, telling them that, you're actually building something. At the end of the day, you've accomplished something that is going to be used, hopefully for the betterment of society. So a lot of good stuff going on over there. So I really appreciate you being. It wasn't too bad, was it?
No.
Once you start talking, kind of you forget about the microphone and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, again, not to flatter you, man, but over the years I've worked here, your reputation has always been. I started out at B-TEK, but then very, very quickly come to the Breck dealer side, so I was in the field. But your reputation from Junior and Art and the guys was always very good, and I know for a long time you were the shift foreman on the night turn.
Yeah.
And again, I've seen personally what heavy trucks can put a B-TEK truck scale through, and it's held up to it. So obviously
that's awesome.
What's going on over there? Can you tweak and tune stuff? I'm sure you can always make things better, but what's happening over there is you got good quality American workers that are taking good quality American steel and welding it together with a sense of pride.
Yep.
Putting it out on the market and keeping the society moving. Because everything got to be weighed, right?
Yes, sir.
At any rate, Frank, I appreciate you taking time, man, to come up here, and it was nice talking with you. I appreciate educating us on.
I hope I did
skill well in the trade of welding, and in particular welding a scale together. So thanks, man. You going back to work?
Yes, sir.
Couple more hours, right?
Right.
Yeah, good. You had to tell me we kept you over here. You were taking a nap.
Yeah, they love it.
Tell Eli, now they have me over here 3-4 hours. It's time to go home. So, anyway, all right. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.